You guys like my previous video where I reacted to the Aragon's video about the Spear Dagger Explosive Fury versus Brutal Fury video. So in this video we're gonna do the same thing where I'm gonna react and give my opinion on the Grobs' video. Why is everyone leaving current state of Throne Liberty? I haven't watched the video, so this is the first time I'm actually watching it. So I'm gonna give my honest opinion and reaction to all the problems that Grobs is mentioning.
So why is everyone leaving Throne and Liberty? It's been nearly 3 months since the global launch of the game.
Oh, is Grobs using his face cam now in the videos? That's nice to see.
Check out the Steam charts recently. You have probably noticed a pattern.
That's an upcoming top tier professional content creator in the making right there. Grobs makes really good content. I like Grobs' content, and he's elevating it with this face cam feature.
To dig deeper, I decided to gather perspectives from all kinds of different players. I put up a post on Reddit asking for your
I actually saw this thread on Reddit. People actually gave like a lot of good information, a lot of good feedback.
I identified the key issues that players currently have with the game, and I will explain those problems with my experience with over 1000 hours in the game. And of course, I'm doing all of this because I love the game. I wanted to succeed. But for this,
we all love the game, man.
Talk about the problems. So the first thing everyone was talking about was the combat. Yes, they did a lot of improvements from when the game was initially released. And yes, it feels pretty decent in small-scale PvP and also in PvE. But the problem starts in large-scale PvP, where everything often feels so incredible clunky. And there are two problems that have been mentioned from you over and over again. Okay, problem number one. Everyone noticed this after his first large-scale PvP fight, and that's just the incredible bad targeting. And this is just something that needs to be on the...
I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that.
Because this is so frustrating to play. You just want to throw your PC out of the window sometimes. So even if you have the
nice meme usage,
it just feels so incredible clunky. And for a tap target MMO, not being able to consistently and easily select targets is just not acceptable. Okay, problem number two, and this has been mentioned.
Okay, so targeting is like a big issue in this game. Like I completely agree with this. Before I was kinda oblivious to it because I played bow dagger and I played in action mode, and I was pretty much a flash wave bot, just spamming flash waves into the biggest pile of enemies. You see red, you just aim it, you don't need to target anyone, then you just shoot the tornado, you use blitz, so you can use it twice. Very rarely I had to actually click and select the target. But ever since I started playing Spear Dagger, I had to force myself to play in the classic mode because it's literally impossible to select targets that you want. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the top targeting just simply doesn't work. I personally never really used top targeting with bow dagger, but with Spear Dagger, I noticed that the tap targeting does not fucking work.
Mentioned by everyone I was talking to, and has been also mentioned by you guys plenty of times on Reddit, and that's just the sheer amount of CC that's currently in the game. And here the best example is of course the tornadoes from the bow.
Yeah, tornado is very oppressive.
It's all the fun of GVGs and large scale PvP,
that skill specialization I've been saying ever since it got out. I've been saying that tornado needs to be removed. Like literally remove the fucking skill specialization and the game is going to be so much healthier. Like the PvP.
You can itemize against it. But in this clip
you can atomize it.
580 collision resistance, and I still getting knocked up into the air 4 times in a row.
Almost 600 collision resistance, and he got knocked up 4 times.
And yes, there are currently a lot of things really bad, and they are really hard to fix. But here, you can just simply remove the skill specialization of the tornado. No one likes it, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it gets completely removed. It's literally dog shit. Like, I played it myself, I know how oppressive it is, I know how stupid it is. And literally nobody would mind if it just simply got removed.
But besides that, there are just currently so many CC spells in the game, and the problem with that is that the visualization of the CC is often really bad.
That's true as well. You can't even see the tornado coming in your face.
Not realizing that you are actually CC'd. So if you're in a fight and you're getting CC'd and you don't know why you can't move, then it just feels overall really clunky. Your brain needs to immediately understand that you are CC'd. I have no clue how they can fix that.
Yeah, there needs
but
to be
it's
like
a
visual
huge
visuals
problem.
when you
the
like
comment in general
CC'd
is
and
really
stunned
not
and like
bad,
flying
but
in the
when
air
it
or
comes
some
to
shit.
targeting and the CC, there just needs to be a lot of improvement. And some of them are just really easy. And it would help just to reduce a lot of the current clunkiness. Okay, so the next
Completely
thing
agree
we
with
have
this
to
one.
talk about comes up every week multiple times on Reddit, and that's just the toxicity in dungeons. So this has been a problem since the release of TL. So either by flaming people how bad they are, or telling them how dare they come into a new dungeon without watching a guide up front, or just by simply kicking people out of the group as soon as they made one mistake. And all of that is obviously not nice. And this is what really kills it for a lot of players, especially new players. We could now simply say, oh, the community of Stolen Liberty is just really bad and toxic. But I think that's just a really stupid take, and it's just simply not true. It's as stupid as saying that League of Legends players are more toxic than Counter-Strike players, or vice versa. In every game we have a lot of toxic players, but certain games make us just more toxic due to certain systems, mechanics, game features or missing elements in the game. And then certain games can make the nicest person really toxic and rage, because certain elements in the game have just bad design. Okay, but in other MMOs, people are not so toxic in dungeons. So why are people getting so toxic in TL? One big problem is that the mechanics can sometimes feel a little complicated, because the game doesn't explain the mechanics at all. And often everyone has a certain job, and if one person fails, this can be already devastating. And it's always really hard to understand.
I mean, the dungeons in Throne Liberty are fucking easy. It doesn't take a nuclear physicist to understand the mechanics. Even if you're a new player, you don't watch a guide, you don't want to watch a guide, you want to go in blind, fine, completely fine with you, completely fine with my group. But then, if it takes you 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 runs, and you still don't learn and don't understand mechanics, then that becomes a problem. Failing and learning is fine. But when is it enough? Like, how many times do you need to fail before you realize, okay, I'm the one failing, I'm the one holding my party back, maybe I should leave, maybe I should learn the mechanics, maybe I should watch a guide, because no game is going to explain the mechanics. Like, which MMORPG you're going to go in, and then the game is going to just tell you the mechanics and explain it for you. Like, I haven't played an MMORPG like that. But I completely understand the mentality of failing once and then being toxic and kicking people. That shouldn't be the thing. You should still give the chance to everybody. But in general, the dungeons are easy. The PvE is easy. The game is never going to teach you the mechanics. It's never going to properly explain the mechanics. How do other people figure it out? How do people who make guides figure out the mechanics and make guides for these new dungeons that are released that nobody ever seen? That's the same way that you can also try to understand it. If these people can understand the mechanics and figure them out, then if you don't want to watch a guide, you can probably do it as well, because it's fucking easy.
And what you did wrong or what you did right, because so many things are just happening at the same time. It's just really easy to see when you know how it works, but at the beginning it's just really hard to get. So this is already not a perfect design. But in addition, I think a big problem is that we have guides for all of those dungeons before they get even released. So
That's
people
true as well.
just played in Korea and then made guides for those dungeons before they're even out. So what is happening then is that some players will watch those guides and others
I mean, these
won't.
guides are like
Then the
3 minutes
players
long.
who
If you
watch
don't
the
have a
guides
3 minutes to watch a
complain on
guide,
day
then
one
yeah, I don't know
about why
what to say
others
even.
don't know how the boss works and why they didn't watch a video. This creates an even more toxic environment. Of course, this...
Like, I haven't done Torture, Chamber of Screams, Tier 5 in Dimensional Trials, and I haven't done Carmine on Korea, and I had no idea what the fuck the mechanics are for this. I went on YouTube, I watched a 2-minute video of a guy explaining the mechanics that are different from like Tier 1 to Tier 5. Literally 2 minutes video for Torture, 2-minute video for Carmine, and I completely understand all the mechanics. Learning by failing is fine, but then you go into a party board, you create a party, you write first time doing this, first time learning party, whatever you want to call it. You grab 5 other people who also want to learn, and you fail and you learn together if you don't want to watch a guide. It's that simple.
This happened now for all 1-star and 2-star dungeons, and it will again happen for all the 3-star dungeons. So the question is, what can they do? I think they just have to explain the mechanics somehow in the game. That would help
No,
so
that's...
much.
Nope.
Give the players the possibility to understand the mechanics in the game.
No, like which MMORPG does that? Now that's such a weird take. Like I don't agree with this. I've played like 10 MMORPGs, and in no MMORPG that I played, the game explains you the mechanics. Like, stop trying to make it even easier as it is. Just watch a 3-minute guide if you don't want to try to learn it yourself and understand it. Like, I don't understand, really. And if you still need a holding hand that the game tells you, okay, this is a flaming circle, you see flaming circle? What, you need like an arrow saying and an X saying don't walk into here, move away around it. Like what else do you need? Like if you don't have like a basic understanding and logic that you shouldn't stand in red and that you should avoid red, then literally no in-game guides are going to help you. Like this is not the way that you fix this issue.
Some pictures on how to move and so on. I think that would really help a lot here and take away a lot from this toxic environment, because people could just quickly understand in an in-game guide what they actually did wrong. So the next topic
I don't agree with that.
Talk about are the dimensional trials and the runes.
Oh, again, this shit, trials and runes, it's shit system.
So the
nothing else needs to be said about this. It's a shit system, nobody likes to farm it, I personally don't farm it, I just cleared tier 15 of all the dungeons to get the season reward, and that's it.
Which are important for your current endgame progression. So it doesn't matter who I asked or where I looked.
And you know what's the funniest thing with these runes? I haven't farmed at all, I maybe did like 5, 6, maybe 10 runs across all 5 dungeons. And all of my runes are 40 plus. Blue runes, 40 plus, literally all of them. How? I'm opening the chest from the season rankings, I'm farming the open world dungeons, which honestly kinda gives a pretty good amount of runes, both blues and common and uncommon ones. I also grab runes from the weeklies, I craft the boxes, I dissolve all the runes and then craft new boxes. And just with that, without even having to farm dimensional trials, I have level 40 plus runes without spending almost any time on this stupid grinding shit. So yes, it's shit. Nobody likes to do it. There are other ways that you can farm runes. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
For feedback, just everyone was saying something negative about the implementation. Okay, so I love the idea of runes. They just give you a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, runes are fine on its own.
And I also really
but there needs to be like better and different ways to like obtain it.
I don't want to flame here on the developers or on the game. But this implementation, if one of the worst implementations I've ever seen from systems that are actually really, really great. Okay, what do I mean by that? So first of all, you are implementing a system with 30 tiers of difficulty. And of course you want to give the bosses new mechanics. That's of course really important and totally fine. But instead of changing
that's fine. Making the dungeons harder, it's fine.
You give them all these new mechanics by tier 5. So the first 2 tiers are super easy. And then you give all the new mechanics the players from tier 3 to tier 5. But if you have master tier 5, then it's always the same until tier 30. And you could see
tier 30 is just for the leaderboards and it's just for like ego farming.
And this is of course super demotivating if you have 30 tiers and you struggle already on tier 3. And again, remember, there's no in-game explanation and it's really hard to understand.
I mean, for these it shouldn't be. It should be even harder.
Right, it creates toxicity.
Like the higher tier you go, it should be even harder.
30 tiers. You have nice mechanics from the bosses, and you could spread them out through all of those tiers here, giving players more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like tier 30 should be like super hard, but having the same mechanics and just like higher damaging attacks, and the boss has more HP. That's not the way. Just for ego farming, I guess.
People would just feel happy, and that would be a great design. But instead, the game overloads the players with new mechanics way too early. People just
it's not that way too early.
With the game. If they want to make those systems more accessible for everyone.
Like honestly, the mechanics in these are like also not that too difficult.
Okay, now let's talk about runes, which are currently just a huge part of your endgame progression.
But I guess if you struggle with the normal 1-star and 2-star, then you're definitely gonna struggle with tier 3 and tier 5.
But if you have tried it, you will quickly notice that the rune gain is really, really low. Until you level your runes to level 60, Amazon will already release level 80 runes. So when it comes to farming runes, the best way is by far still dimensional trials. And if you want to stay competitive as a PvP player, you need runes. But the only way to effectively farm runes is hard PvE content. And the changes they made with this patch were already really good and going into the right direction. But that's just not enough. A PvP player should be able to farm runes just with PvP content.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
many
There should be
PvP players
more
just
rune
quit the
rewards
game
in the
because they are
PvP.
forced to do PvE content. And that's
Because the thing with runes is, it empowers your character in PvP, but you have to do PvE to get it, right? So PvP rewards for PvP players is absolutely fucking dog shit. There needs to be better rewards, more rewards, and a fully PvP player shouldn't solely 100% have to focus on PvE as well. You get those boxes from the leaderboard, from seasonal achievement. Why isn't there something for PvP? We have PvP leaderboards, we have kill leaderboards, we have activity leaderboards. Why not give some rewards, like seasonal rewards for these, you know? We have kill rankings that mostly active PvP players participate in this. Why not reset them every like 2 months and give the rewards based on the top players, you know? Why those leaderboards even exist? It's literally fucking useless.
just not some dungeon farming. This is really hard PvE content. I think it's good that this whole rune farming is a grind, which is totally okay. But the content needs to be fun for the players. For PvE players, grinding for weeks or months in hard dungeons is fine. But forcing a PvP player to do that is of course not okay. They of course need PvP content where they can farm those runes. And this farming method should be as effective as going 2-dimensional trials. This should be just complete alternative. And players could do what they like to do to farm those runes, and everyone could be happy. Okay, so don't get me wrong here. Like, these systems are just really great, and I just love both of them. But the implementation of those are just so bad, and we just really quickly need here changes. And let's just really hope that this is not too late. Because I know for a fact that this is killing the fun for so many players.
I mean, like I said, you don't have to do dimensional trials to farm runes.
And PvP. So in Throne Liberty, the major PvP content is for sure large-scale PvP. So a couple of times a week you have GVGs, so Rift Zones and Boonstones, and then you have with your alliance world boss fights every day and castle sieges every 2 weeks. From my point of view, the best content in Throne of Liberty is by far the GVGs. Of course, they have also some problems, but overall they are really fun. But the problem is here that you more or less need a hardcore PvP guild to have good PvP. Of course, if you are not in a hardcore PvP guild, you can have some small scale PvP in arenas or some fights in the open world dungeons. But if you want to have
if you're in a small guild, you're gonna get fucked.
Which is just the major content in this game, there is nothing you can do without a competitive hardcore guild. But if you are then in such a hardcore guild and you are attending to all of those events, then it can quickly feel like a second job. And I saw a lot of posts regarding that on Reddit as well. But if you want to have good PvP, competitive PvP, this is just the only way you have. So smaller guilds won't get any good GVGs and will be completely destroyed in all other...
Yeah, I mentioned that in one of my previous videos. There should be some more opportunities for small guilds.
Want to join a hardcore PvP guild. You can't do good PvP content, except for arenas, and that's for most people just not enough. So of course the obvious solution would be to have something like battlegrounds of 10v10 or 20 vs 20, and I really hope they would introduce that with the wargame feature. But here you just create your own lobby with up to 300 players and you have no
wargames are custom lobbies. I was hoping that this would potentially be like something that you queue into and then you just get matched into this.
So this is already
and it's like a 30 versus 30 versus 30 or like something like that.
Some PvP, but there's just really no possibility for them. We need to have some kind of a battleground, some kind of a possibility.
Like Reef Stones and Boonstones, like the lower tier, ones that give like
so the second major
a little bit like worse rewards, could be changed so that it requires less people. So like you can contest it with like 20 or like 30, it's like 30 versus 30, 20 versus 20, you know, whatever. So it doesn't have to be like full 70 versus 70. So like a small guild wouldn't get zerged with against a bigger guild, right?
A problem which I've heard from everyone I was talking to and was also reading plenty of times on Reddit are the alliances. Alliances are just group of guilds which are just fighting together on all open world events. So
I also mentioned in one of my video, I honestly wouldn't mind if they test the limit of alliance of guild in an alliance to 3 and then test it to 2 as well. And then if it doesn't really work out, they can always go back to 4. But I feel like 2 guilds in an alliance would be pretty optimal in my opinion, and it would need to be tested. But yeah, I'm just hoping they potentially start testing like lower guilds in an alliance.
Are being created, which is just dominating all the servers. And this is of course
Yeah, people abusing like mega alliances as well, like 2 alliances of 4, maybe 3 alliances of 4 guilds grouping together, purposefully not attacking each other and ignoring each other.
I think the idea is really good, but
So
I
yeah,
haven't
it's not
seen it
really
working for a long time. The
it's not
problem
really
is that a lot
something
of
that's
content is designed
good
around
for the game in my
alliances. So
opinion.
you can't just simply remove the feature. But you need to find a solution here to balance it a little bit better out to make it fun for everyone. Okay, so let's sum that up. It's nice to have a guild-centric PvP game, but there needs to be also PvP content for players who are not in a hardcore PvP guild. And alliances are not functioning as they should, and they probably need a rewrite in some way.
I mean, they've been trying for so long and they just can't get it right.
Players, but I just want to talk
I don't know
about
what they
it because
can do.
I think it's really important, and that are the character stats. And they are in general really nice in Throne Liberty. You have so many different stats, which gives you just so many possibilities to design.
Yeah, stats are nice, but
this is just definitely
they just don't make any sense.
Throne and Liberty. But one big problem here is that the game doesn't explain what certain stats are
Yeah,
actually
that's
doing.
true.
And often the in-game descriptions are even just misleading. I can tell you that more than 50% of the current active player base is
It's not that it's misleading, it's just poorly
They
translated
might
and
think
like
they do, but they don't.
it just doesn't work the way it like actually says in the
That's why, for
description.
example,
Some of
I've
the
made
skills
a
are
lot of videos
also
explain on how
some of the
certain
skills are
stats
also
work.
like
Can you just
misleading
upload a
and
really good video on
wrongly
hate
translated.
And the problem is that it's really needed because the game is not explaining those stats. All of the stats, what is attack speed exactly doing? What is damage reduction doing? What
Yeah,
is
there's no
crit doing?
actual
What is
formula that
base
you can
damage
see and you
doing?
can
How big are
calculate.
the
Like people
diminishing
had to make like
returns? Something
spreadsheet
like this needs to
Excels
be somehow
to
visible in the
actually
game. If I
fucking
can't see it
calculate
in-game,
yourself
it's
how much
really
evasion,
confusing.
how much
And when they then
attack
see
speed you're gonna
certain
get if you
videos
have like
explaining how certain
45%
stats
attack
work
speed,
and
how much
realize
actual
maybe that
attack
they
speed you're gonna
broke
get.
their character
Because as you can see, he has 45.4% extra attack speed, but it's actually not 45%. It's more around like I would say 31, 32% extra attack speed that it's getting because of the diminishing returns and because how the formula works. Same with the cooldown speed, it's not 16.5, it's more about like around like maybe 10% actual cooldown reduction. So like none of these stats actually make sense. They don't explain anything. It just says like what it is, but there's like no actual formula. And I do believe the reason why it is like that because the devs don't even know themselves how it actually works. Like I'm literally 100% sure they don't even know how the stats works and how they're
They
calculating
just
it.
need a good way of explaining those stats in the game. I'm not sure like how they would do that, but from the first place they could update their descriptions. That would already help a lot. So not a lot.
Yeah,
of
they need to
people
add more
talking about
details
this,
into
but I
like
think it's
describing
still
the
really
skills and
frustrating for a lot of
describing the
people, even though
stats
they
and
don't
formulas
realize
and how it's being
And I just
calculated, so
think
people
Throne
can
Liberty
like
does here
calculate
really
it
bad job
themselves,
on
you know.
explaining those stats. So these were just the biggest, most talked about issues. Of course, there's more like perfect Q block scripting, performance during
Yeah,
large-scale
that's
PvP battles, time
not
gating
gonna get
stuff,
fixed
pay-to-win
anytime soon.
elements, no assists for healers, balancing, and the list goes on. But these were just the most discussed and mentioned points from your side. I really love this game and I wanted to succeed, but the devs just needs to focus on those kind of problems, otherwise
Yeah, the game has a lot of problems. People are being pissed, rightfully pissed, about all the issues. Grobs made a really good point in addressing all the big issues. There's a lot of small issues, but let's go one step at a time. Hopefully, the Amazon actually watches his video and starts like working and implementing some of the changes and reworking some of the stuff. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the Grobs video. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about all these issues, and if you want to see more of this type of content, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.